Hey everyone, today we're going to work on this cube assignment using measurement and angles. And the first thing we need to do is determine the format of the actual image because it doesn't fill out the whole rectangle. And I'm going to measure this, and I found that it is just about a perfect square. The length is the same as the width. So I want to make a square on my paper that corresponds to that. But I'm going to make this square a little bigger since I have extra paper to work with. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make a measurement here using my fingers and the pencil and mark that line and mark it on this side and just draw that line in. And then I'm going to use the whole length of the pencil. So I'm going to come from that line, mark it up here, go up here and mark it here. And I've got these two lines, just using some soft vine charcoal for now. Then I want to make it the same width as it is the height. So I'm roughly going to put this in the middle and mark that. So I'm going to use that same measurement up here. We can draw this line in. Then we want it to be the length of the pencil. Mark that. And then we have a nice square format to start working with. So the next thing I want to figure out is the biggest overall shape. I always like to work, I think it's a good idea to work from the biggest to the smallest. So if you consider this shape as one rectangle and the dark area as another, consider that one shape, and I'll measure this and measure that, and you see that's a little above halfway because this gray area is a little bigger than the dark area. So I'm going to put, first of all, I'm going to find the center here. This is a good thing to do with any drawing or sketch, is find the middle. I'm guessing it's about here, but I can check it by seeing if these two compare. A little lower. I'm going to put that center line in and the vertical center line in. And then I know that my gray area is a little higher than the center. So there's that. Now I can start working on some of these bigger shapes. One thing to do would be find out how far I get over here. And when I see it doesn't really add up to an even number, it comes to about there. So I'm going to try this smaller unit of measurement from here to here, mentally marking that to here. So about 3 of these units is where that white edge, that light edge is. Then let's keep going. 4, 5, 6. So we roughly have 6. Divide this into 6. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. 5, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we said we came over 3 roughly here, so this is going to be the front, or sorry, just 1. This is going to be the front of the cube. And then this one is 3. 1, 2, 2, 3, a little less than 3, about here. So this is the front of the cube here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little less than 5 is the back of the cube. 1, 2, 4, 5. So our cube is going to fit into this space somewhere. Now we can figure out how high to come up here to get to that corner, or how low to come down here to get to that corner. And I'm just going to look for something that works out to an even number. There's 1, 2. That didn't work too well. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 gives us pretty much the top there. 4. Okay, so we're going to divide this into fourths. 1, 2. Sorry, there's the middle line. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the bottom of it comes to about here. And then we've got an angle to draw. And when you draw an angle, what I like to do is actually measure that angle and try to keep your hand in that same position. And just move it over there and draw that line roughly like this. When you're drawing an angle, one thing I like to do is think about an analog clock. Let's say this is the clock here. This is 1 o'clock. This is 6 o'clock. 3, and 9. So this angle is more like 10 o'clock. Check it again. A little steep there. So we've got this much of the cube. And let's do this angle. Try to keep it that same. It's not quite the same angle. It's a little flatter. Coming from here. And once we get more shapes, we'll have more to compare with. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can take this measurement again and go down. 1, 2. It's about twice as much as that, where this corner is. So take this again. 1, 2, about there. And then this angle is going to be a little less steep than that one because we're seeing this in perspective. Something like that. And let's look at this angle. Another shallow angle. So I'm looking at this. This shape looks a little too short compared to this. So we'll keep working on it and see what needs to be changed. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. And we've got this angle here, which is very shallow. It's not horizontal, but it's just slightly up from that. So maybe if you're thinking about the clock again, maybe it's not 9 o'clock, but it's not quite 10 o'clock. It's very shallow here. And then this angle. One thing you want to look for in any kind of drawing that involves perspective is these two lines. This part of the box is the closest to us, so it's only going to get smaller as it goes away. It will never get bigger. It's just the way our eyesight works. Now I can tell that we need to work on this measurement here, because we need to have more of a square there. This is very long and stretched out. So measure from here to here. It's about equal. So the distance between this and this, we need to be right about in the middle of those two. So more like that. That's going to change these other angles somewhat. As you can see, I don't get it perfect the first time, and this is a good lesson because a drawing like this should have a lot of trials, a lot of marks, a lot of improvements and changes and refinements, just like if you're writing a paper or you're playing a piece of music, you want to keep working on it and respect the process. So I've roughly got it in here now. And we've got this shadow, which is going to create a lot of the drama and the sense of light and dark. Something like that. Comes out to here. Then you've got a horizontal line. This is representing the back of the box. It comes here. And then a little bit more of an angled line coming from behind the box. So something like this. So it's looking like a pretty messy drawing now, but that's good. We want a messy drawing. And then just kind of giving it a quick look. It's looking pretty good, maybe a little bit too tall. Maybe my original marks were more on the spot. And from there you can start roughing in the values. And I'm going to work on the lighter values at first. So the lightest area is this one, which is almost the white of the paper, so I'm going to leave that as it is. The next value is this, where the light's shining on the box, and it's also hitting this surface at the same angle. So just put in a little bit of marks there and start rubbing that in. Now what's really going to make this drawing come to life is when we work on the edges, get them sharp. But for now I just want to get the value hierarchy established. We've got light value here. Now the next darkest surface is that side here because the light's coming from this angle and above, and this is mostly in shadow. So this is darker than that, but not as dark as the full black area. Again, what we want to do in the final, when we really get to the details, is eliminate these lines and just have an edge, a dark edge against a lighter edge. So just comparing my tone here with that, I think it needs to be a little bit darker, so I'm just going to put another layer. I like to work in layers because you can always keep adding more, and sometimes it's not that easy to erase when you just go in and just really make it dark. So build it up slowly. Then we've got the shadow here, which I'm going to consider, it's not quite as dark as that, but it's almost there. When you work with light and dark and shadow, it brings a real drama and an importance to whatever it is you're drawing. Even this simple cube looks sort of ominous or important or powerful because of the light that we're creating. Drawing is always a little bit of a theatrical experience or dramatic experience. I'm going to try to even this up some. Okay, then finally, to really emphasize the shape here, I'm going to put in the darkest part. And as we go along and put in the edges, we'll start to refine these angles and proportions even more. I like to kind of get that edge or that outline first and then fill in the areas. I don't know, maybe it's because the way we always used to do coloring books, it just seems satisfying to get the hardest part, the most precise part, the edge first, and then add more colors in there when you can be a little freer. I'm going to make this a little bit, not quite happy with that angle there, but we'll get it fixed. This one I think I've got way too steep. It's more like that. So it's starting to look like a three-dimensional cube sitting there with a light shining on it. Now, as you go along, again, you can work on these edges and get things more precise and start to eliminate some of these lines with your eraser. You can draw with that eraser, try to get a nice straight line here rather than a drawn line, just a line where you have an edge of one value compared to another. Okay. I think this is probably enough for now. Although now that I'm into it, it's really hard for me to stop because I see so many problems. So I'm just going to keep going a little longer. But one thing we want to do is make the values as intense and as wide a range of values as we can. So after working with the vine charcoal, I can get some compressed charcoal and start working into this background to make it really dark. And then again, we want to get these edges nice and crisply defined. Just keep working in layers and keep refining your edges using both additive, adding the charcoal, and also subtractive with the eraser. The sharper and crisper you get these edges, the more realistic the drawing is going to be. Okay, so a drawing like this I would probably spend, to get it really finished, I would spend maybe 2 or 3 hours, but I think this is enough to get us started. Hope that was helpful, and we'll talk to you later. See you next time.